a shadow to despair at me. Spirits in the dark are waiting. I will let the wind go quietly. I will let the wind.
Hello, and welcome to the Introduction to Trail Running. In this video, we'll be going over some basic information on what to do and what to think about before you decide to go out and run out here in the woods in the Pacific Northwest. Especially this time of year where it can be super dreary and it gets dark rather fast, being well prepared is crucial. Now, we'll be going over 4 main points today as to kind of what trail running is and what kind of to prep for before you out and go do runs. Starting off, point number 1 is going to be the question, how does trail running differ from road running? Now, this is a good question to start off with because there are a few key differences that you should be aware of before you go run. Such as, you have to be more aware of your surroundings. Because out here, there are more rocks, there are more roots, there are more animals and other passerby sharing the trails with you. So be more aware of your surroundings. Secondly, you do lose a sense of security out here a little bit. So, because you're out in the woods, you're not out in your local neighborhood or your track where, you have more peering eyes possibly, watching you. So keep it, so you do have to kind of be aware of that as well. Now, to remedy this, what you can do is you can go to a frequently visited park or trailhead, such as here at Illahee Park, Illahee Preserve, and run here. Now, this sounds like it would create a little more of a stressful situation since you have to be more aware of what's going on the ground or other people or animals, or your sense of security might not be as high as it would be out in the city. Now, I would argue otherwise, because if you do go to like a frequently visited trailhead, it can actually be a super calming experience because it's a change of scenery, it's out in the woods. So I would say just go out to even your local park or trailhead and just start there because it's super tranquil and it's super refreshing to get out of the city every now and again. In fact, here are some clips I have gathered to highlight how pretty trail running can be. So point 2. Now you might be thinking to yourself, this sounds a lot like hiking, but there are 2 main differences I would say that really differentiate between trail running and regular hiking. One would be the length of time between both activities, and 2 would be adaptability. Now, length of time is pretty much, I guess, kind of a good example where, let's say with hiking, you're out in the woods for like a full day to like a weekend, whereas trail running, you're out here for a few hours to maybe a day at most. And then point 2 is adaptability. Because you're not out here for like the full weekend, you don't have like a main campsite or campground to go to, you have to be more adaptable, more minimalistic, and be able to really change on the fly. And a big key factor in trail running successfully is being able to balance that minimalistic with what gear you kind of need. And then actually this leads us into point number 3 and what kind of gear you should have before you go trail run. Now here's some gear I would recommend before setting out for a trail run. The first is going to be any type of headgear such as a hat, that way you can keep any sun or rain out of your face. Secondly, it's going to be a type of good solid top, any that's water repellent or water resistant.
as well as be able to keep and retain any type of heat. Some sort of leggings, that way you can protect your legs against any sort of thorns or brushes or anything like that. A hydration pack, such as a Camelback or a type of waist type holder. This way, for when you get thirsty in the summer weather or even in the cold, and you can keep yourself hydrated. Next is going to be trail shoes specifically. Trail running shoes differ from regular running shoes by the typically larger lugs on the soles of the shoes, as you see here. And there are many brands of trail shoes, such as Ultra and Hoka.
Out of the two, I would recommend Hoka, just because for me, they seem to last a lot longer than most other running shoe brands I've had, as well as providing a lot of good arch support in the inside of the shoe. So I would recommend going with Hoka.
And then, equally as important, is going to be any sort of reflective or illuminative type gear, such as a headlamp, a type of a reflective vest, or a type of reflective top. This one in particular can also keep the heat retention, which is very good for this time of year. As accessories such as a armband, this will also keep your phone on your person as well. And lastly is going to be our smaller accessories, such as gloves and ice grips. This way, when it does get icy and cold outside, you will be able to maintain grip on the ground as well as be warm. Just as important as having the right gear, having the right apps is also important. There are a lot of trail finding and general safety apps out there, with most using geolocation to help find trails near you. Whether you're at home, vacation, or traveling because of work, you can find a trail anywhere thanks to these apps. Some of these apps will even let you record a route and save it for next time. The 4 trail finding apps I would recommend is going to be Mountain Hub, View Ranger, All Trails, and Maprika. Now, if you want an extra sense of security while trail running, there are emergency apps that will send out your location even if you're in a remote area. The 3 I would recommend is going to be What 3 Words, Save 24, and Life 360. Now, on to our last point, point 4.
Now into our last point, point 4. And now that we know how trail running differentiates from regular road running and hiking, now that we know what kind of gear we should have, what kind of apps we should use, the last thing I would recommend is getting involved with the community, finding people to run with, because that also includes better safety and just having people to look out for you as well, which is great for anyone starting out. In fact, let's talk to some other trail runners as well and get their take on what they would recommend for anyone that wants to start trail running as well. Hello, and we have our first guest, Rob, a local trail runner here in the Seattle area.
Thanks for having me on, Kyle. Great to be here.
Awesome, thank you. And so he's also done a few ultra races and trail races. Such as, what kind of trail races have you done?
So I've done a lot of different trail races. I've done 50-mile races, and also I've done a couple 100-mile races. So definitely have some good experiences that I hope to share with everyone and talk and teach you about trail running.
Perfect, thank you. And so kind of the first question we have here is what got you into trail running exactly?
Oh, I think it's just the exploration aspect. Being out in nature is just so wonderful, and especially in a beautiful place like Seattle where there's just endless amounts of parks to explore and mountains to go up. I think really just getting out there in nature was really what drew me, and it still draws me today.
Awesome.
To the trails.
Right, yeah, it's great out here.
So great.
And then what kind of advice would you recommend to anyone that wants to get into trail running and stuff like that? Like, what advice would you recommend?
I'd recommend signing up for like a small race, maybe like a 5K race or a 10K race, to see if you enjoy it and to kind of get your feet wet. Mm-hmm. Don't sign up for like a 20-mile race like right off the bat. You want to kind of start small.
Yeah.
And I'd say also finding friends to run with is really critical. You know, the more friends you have to run with, the more fun it is. You know, you can basically spend time on the trails. It doesn't even feel like you're getting an exercise in. You're just having fun. it's having good friends to run with is really critical for
Oh,
sure.
perfect. And then lastly, what's your favorite part about trail running? Would you say what really can get you out the door?
I would say it's fun to just push your limits a little bit and just to see how far you can go sometimes, or to see what your potential is. Like like a couple years ago, I never thought I could go up a mountain, and now I can go up a mountain on the weekends, and that's a pretty cool capability to have. So I think it's all about pushing your limits and like doing things and being uncomfortable.
Yeah, going out there like that.
Yeah,
for sure.
And I know you've done like some harder races, and like you switched from roads to trails, and you kind of had that experience, and it's totally different.
It is. Yeah, it is a bit of a mainly especially for those that are from roads to go into trails. It is a little bit different, but it is, like you said, a lot of fun to push yourself because it is a different aspect to going from road to trail. So
and
it is fun.
And one last thing I'll say is the community aspect is great. I find that the trail community, everybody's super friendly.
It is,
and it's a very welcoming type of. It's not as competitive, I would say, as other running events, and I think that's really draws me in, and it's like makes it for a really nice community to be a part of.
It is, yeah, no, it's great. Like the first trail race back this year, I got hugged and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you for the advice. And
thanks so much.
Anything else you'd like to add, or?
No, I would just say I hope you give trail running a try. It's made a big impact on my life, and I think if you could find similar results if you tried as well. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you. And hope you guys have fun as well. Thank you. Yeah. Now we got trail number 1 or 2. We got Megan here from the Kitsap County area. Hello, Megan. How you doing?
Hi, Kyle. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for having me about. And so we want to start off by saying, so what kind of races do you like to do, and what kind of races have you normally done so far?
Yeah.
In trail running?
Good question. So I've done a little bit of road racing and trail racing.
Okay.
I didn't start racing trail until about 4 years ago.
Oh, nice.
When I was in Bend, Oregon, and it was a little 12K that I ended up winning, and so I was immediately hooked. And since then, I've kind of alternated between trail and road. I've done 4 50Ks and a few trail marathons and a few road marathons.
Oh, there you go. Awesome. And so, for anyone that's kind of interested in doing that kind of stuff and wants to transition into trail running, what kind of advice would you recommend to them?
Yeah, good question. I think the most important thing to start with is get yourself in a pair of shoes that actually fits your foot like a glove. A lot of people make the mistake of just getting shoes that they've seen their best friends wearing or on a cover of a magazine. But the research shows the best way to find a shoe that's going to reduce your risk of injury is actually how comfortable it feels when you first put it on. So you got to go try it on. Every brand fits every shoe differently.
Exactly.
And then the second thing is just get out there and start exploring.
It's always the most important thing too, is just getting out there, especially out here in the Pacific Northwest.
Yeah, when I started running, I didn't have very many people who ran trails and had a similar schedule as me. So I had to do a lot of it on my own and just figure it out. But the app Maprika, which is similar to the apps you mentioned before, has trail maps of all the local spots in the area, and that was really helpful.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, that'd be Maprika. That'd be a good one to look into. And so, I guess lastly, what kind of advice would you give to new runners wanting to go into the trails? Just for like being safe and stuff like that, or try and find other people to run with?
Yeah, having people to run with that are a similar pace as you is real helpful, and also people that can push you a little bit. And then not being afraid to explore. Sometimes when you go out there, if you get a little lost, sometimes that's the best way to find the prettiest places. Have a little adventure and just get out there and start exploring. For sure.
That's the best thing to do. And thank you for your time. So any last remarks before we close off the segment?
No, go enjoy the woods.
Awesome. Thank you very much, and hope you guys get out there as well. Thank you. Lastly, here at Paulsville Running, we have Chris, the owner of Paulsville Running here. Hello, Chris. How you doing today?
Good. How are you doing, Kyle?
Doing all right. Excited to be here. So, just going to keep it simple today. Just 2 questions to ask for you. Kind of what do you enjoy about trail running?
Well, for sure, I like the fact there's no cars.
Yeah, for sure.
Right?
Not nicer.
Soft surfaces, easier on the body.
Exactly. Yeah, that'd be not nicer.
The variety of the terrain you run on.
Yeah.
And it seems to be for me a lot better as far as reducing injury.
Yeah, that part's super. Yeah, totally relatable.
Yeah,
It's a lot
so
nicer.
just the different. You can do so many different things out there. Find different trails,
Yeah.
different types of terrain,
Yeah,
different footing. So it's always something different.
it is. It's super
Yeah.
fun doing that.
Yeah.
And secondly, what do you kind of recommend to someone that wants to start trail running?
You know, you really don't need to have a lot of other things. Trail shoes, you know, you're going to get more traction. You're going to get more water resistance, you know, tougher uppers and things like that. But really, I would just recommend just kind of, you know, you're going to be slower on the trails than you are on the roads.
Yeah,
So
for
maybe
sure.
just go by a time rather than distance for sure.
Yeah, more feel almost.
Yeah, for sure. And just take it easy and just know that, you know, you can walk the uphills.
Yeah.
You can run the downhills and the straights, and just kind of you know, go at it easy and
Yeah,
and
kind of
just,
flow with it.
yeah, totally, and just kind of, you know, just see what you think about it all.
Exactly,
Yeah.
for sure. All right, well, thank you very much for your time, and
for sure.
please check out Paulsbo Running here over in Paulsbo. They're awesome, so thank you very much.
Of course.
So hopefully this video has answered at least some questions, and hopefully has inspired you to go out and explore local trails. If you have any feedback, please comment below or message me. I would love to hear back from you all. And with that, have fun exploring, and hope to see you out on the trail sometime soon.